Okay, so in this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to use Replit, which is an integrated development environment. That means it contains an editor, a compiler. It allows you to run your program, update your program, see if there's errors in your program, all that kind of information. And we'll be using it to create C++ programs. C++ is going to be the language that we use in our course. So the first thing that you do have to do is create an account. It is free. It used to be completely free, but now there's paid options. You do not have to pay for it, and I'll talk a little bit about what some of the rules are for the free version. So you can come down here and just sign up for free. You know, you just have to put in your email and you have to create a password, things like that. That'll allow you to come back into your Replit account and see the code that you've already written, update it, and things like that. So I already have an account, so I'm going to log in. Okay, so this will be your home page, and initially what we're just going to talk about is creating what's called a REPL. You'll see there's a link here, same thing. A REPL is almost like a holding space or a project that holds your code. And so that's the first step, is to create that. So I'm just going to choose Create REPL. And we have to come down and choose C++ because that's the language that we're going to be using. You'll see that it gives it just some randomly generated crazy name. I'm going to recommend that you change it to something that you're going to be able to reuse in this class. I'm just going to call this my code right now, and then I'm going to create the REPL. All right, so here you'll see the REPL, and you'll also see on the left here a program called main.cpp. This is the main program right here, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And you don't really at this point have to worry too much about any of these other tools. There are some settings that you might be interested in changing, like the default layout is side by side, where it puts the code here and the output here. You can change the font size. Normal is a little small. I generally change mine to large just because, you know, I'm making videos. I want you guys to be able to see it, but that's up to you. You know, things like, do you want to auto close brackets? Most of this stuff you can leave on unless you start to find that you need to turn it off. The indentation size is 2. That just means when you hit the tab key, it'll move over 2. Spaces, I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. Code intelligence is helpful to have on. It does things like it tries to fix your code for you. Maybe if you type a left brace, it'll add the right brace. If you type a double quote, it might end the ending double quotes. So it is helpful to have that on. And the theme, a lot of students like to change this. I prefer the light theme, but some students prefer, it seems to me that people like the dark theme. But that's up to you. So you can change some of these settings if you would like. So you could see this created a tab with the user settings. I'm going to close this. I'm going to really just leave the console open at this point. This is where we're going to see the output of our code. All right, so this is creating a REPL, which will create a little file in here called main.cpp. You need to keep it that name. This is where you're going to type your C++ code, or what's referred to as your source code. All right, so this is just the simplest little program that types hello world. It's all on one line, which generally you won't see code written that way. And if I scroll up here, you'll see an include IOStream statement. So I'm just going to talk about a few things. Generally, with these curly braces, you might see code that will get generated like this. So the opening curly brace is here, the closing one is there. Sorry, there should just be one. Okay. Sometimes you'll see the opening and closing curly braces like this. That allows you to kind of see better the main program here. Okay, so I think you should definitely not keep everything on one line. So the first thing that you might want to do is just kind of adjust this so that it looks more like what we're doing in class and makes a little bit more sense. All your code will not be on one line. All right, the other thing that you're going to see in our programs is that you have what's using namespace standard. And when you do that, you don't have to put std::: in front of everything, and in fact, you should not. So you want to make these changes so that it just makes it easier to write your code as a beginning programmer. So what you can do is you can run, and in the console window here, you will just see the word run. I'm sorry, the word hello world, which is what gets displayed when this program runs. So this is what's referred to as your console. It's just the output of your program. Okay, if you run your program again, you're going to have another run over here. If you start to have a lot of stuff over here, there is a clear history button, and you can just kind of get rid of everything and come back to the start. The other thing that you'll see in the code in our programs often is a return 0 at the end of the program. This just means when you return a 0 to the operating system to denote that it's been normal termination of the program. So most of the programs that you see in our class will follow this format that you're looking at exactly. The only difference might be sometimes, you'll see the opening curly brace up on this line. But again, that's just all personal preference. Okay, so let's come over here and just talk about the main program itself. The main program is what you're going to send to me for me to go grade things. So once your program is working, and you're done, you're going to right click on this and you're going to choose download, and that will download your main program. I'm just going to open up my downloads folder, and I have so many main programs. Okay, so this is what you get. That if this has information after it, I would really recommend when you download it just to right click on this and rename the file just main.cpp, because I really don't want a file that has anything after it. So if you could show more options, and then you can rename this just main.cpp. That's what so I'm going to say yes. All right. And I got a number after it. This is how many main programs I have in my download folder. That's embarrassing. You shouldn't get that. Okay. So that's the main.cpp. That's the file that you're going to be submitting to me. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit about the limitations of the free version. So I'm going to come down here. I just have a document. For the free starter plan, the number of REPLs, it's limited to 3 REPLs. So for the purpose of this class, after, let's say, you submit your first project, I would recommend taking your main.cpp file and saving it someplace. You could put it, put all of your stuff in a folder, make a subfolder project 1 and put the main file in there. And then for the second project, you can just come in and you can take out the code, and then you can just put the code for the second project. So you're reusing this REPL, and then you still have your main program, but you're changing your main program for project 2. And then when you're done, you can download it. This will allow you to do everything in one REPL for the whole semester, which is fine to do. But I mean, you can create up to 3 in the free version. They're subject to deletion after 1 year of inactivity. That shouldn't really be a problem for you. You can deploy a single site without a credit card on file. So that's what I'm showing. You should not have to enter credit card information at all. You are limited to 600 development minutes per month. That's a lot of, that's 10 hours of coding. It should certainly not be taking you 10 hours to write projects, which you might have 2 projects in 1 month. I don't think that should be any type of issue. And the storage as well. So these are kind of limitations for the free starter plan. As you recall, I showed you in the settings with setting the code intelligence on. It just kind of helps you with things when you're coding. It's often called IntelliSense as well. Like, let's say this semicolon is required, but if I left it off, you know, I would get some help here. Expected a semicolon after this expression. Okay. Or let's say, you know, this double quote's required. If I left it off, again, I might get a message here, missing terminating double quote character, right? It would help me figure out that that probably needs to go back on. You know, if I was to, and this will, you know, start to auto generate your code, which can be a little bit daunting when you first start, because you know, you probably don't need help at this point. You probably just need to enter your own code, because like this, it's adding something that I don't even want to be out there. So this is, again, you can come into the settings, and when it has AI code completion, you can turn that off. Again, as a beginning program, if you turned it on, it might start recommending things that you don't even want, but you feel like, oh, they completed it, I better accept that. And that's probably not the best idea. So I would recommend early on just turning this off. So now you'll see with that turned off in the settings, right, I'll get that if there is an error here, sorry, right there, it'll just say expected semicolon after expression, so I can add it in myself and fix it, and you're not getting all that extra generated code that you often don't even want, missing double quote character. So I know that you guys are probably thinking, oh, I should leave the AI on because that's really going to help me. I would say when you're first starting out, it's probably going to make a number of recommendations to you that are not going to be helpful for you, especially when it's adding things at the end that you don't even know what they are. So this would be my recommendation. So, you know, when you make mistakes or errors, you can always come back and change things here, and then you can run your program again. Remember, it'll go in the console, and you have these tabs. Like, I can close the user settings now. If you go into the AI tab, you know, this is, it doesn't do too much for you in the free version, honestly. I don't even know that you need to have it open, but it's not hurting anything if it is. All right, so that's a really simple program in Replit. I'm hoping that this will work out for us. This whole fact that they put a bunch of limitations on the free version, I still think we should be able to work through it. And if not, we'll come up with a plan if we need another plan. And I believe that's everything you need to know. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.